What's going on, folks? Robert here. So I wanted to bring a video to you on how I field dress my deer before I take to the processor. So my go-to knife that I use is this Onza knife. I really love this Onza knife. It's got a really good handle on it. It's fairly thick, fits really good in my hand, and it's got a short blade that's super sharp. The reason why I like this knife is because when I'm getting inside that deer, I don't want to accidentally cut myself. If I've got a long butchering knife or something like that, or a long gut knife, I also don't have to worry about so much as stabbing the stomach or cutting that stomach liner when I'm opening that deer up, because I have a complete control over this knife, especially with the shorter blade. Works great. This is my go-to. If I don't have this one on me, I will also use just your standard pocket knife. Of course, it is really sharp knife. I keep all my knives sharp, but I don't use a gut knife or anything like that. So enjoy the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're fixing to break 300 subscribers. We got a lot of content coming your way, so hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those bell notifications on. Enjoy the video. So this doe here, she sat for roughly 3 hours before I got to her to be able to field dress her out there. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting my knives ready. I've got my larger knife just in case I need to. So I've used my smaller knife. I'm feeling for the bottom of the ribs here so I know where the ribs stop. And then what I'll do is I'll make a scar cut straight down to as far as my knife will go, down to the bottom of those ribs. And then just start down. And then I'll scar me a line down so I know when I follow. And now this is critical. You've got to make sure you don't puncture that stomach. This is another reason why I like using the smaller knives, because you don't have to worry about it as much. So using one hand, you'll pull the skin back and keep the stomach liner away. That way you don't accidentally puncture it, because trust me, you do not want to puncture that stomach. So now what I'm basically doing is I'm just opening her up, and so I can see where everything's at and see what I got. I've just made that cut as far down as I can, basically almost to the tail. Some people cut out around the, well, I guess you call it the anus. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends. So once you get everything opened up, you can kind of push everything down towards the bottom, and then right underneath the rib cage, you'll find a diaphragm there. And what you'll want to do is take your knife and you'll want to cut that diaphragm out of the way. It's really easy to do with a smaller knife. Again, that's the reason why I like the smaller knives. So I'll cut that diaphragm out of the way and get everything pushed kind of back and to the side out of the way. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to access that esophagus underneath the rib cages. So sometimes I will split the rib cages open. On this date, it was a little warm, so what I wanted to leave the rib cage intact so that I can shove a bag of ice up inside the rib cage and it kind of holds it in place. So now what I'm doing is I'm reaching that rib cage, going to wrap my hands around it. You'll feel it attached basically right below the spine, and using your fingers, you can kind of grab a hold of it. So once I grab a hold of that rib cage like I got there, I got to reposition myself because I'm turning the wrong direction. But reach up in there, grab that esophagus, hold on to it tight. And this is another reason why I like using the smaller knife. So I'll take my smaller knife, I'll run my hand up in there, and you're basically going to just cut that esophagus in half right above where your hand is. And what that'll allow you to do is once you get it cut, you'll be able to start ripping everything back and out of the body cavity. So again, this is another benefit. Sometimes I'll use my pocket knife. I really got to where I like using my Onza knife. It's a really short blade, really stout handle, so it works really well. So once you get that esophagus tube cut like that right there, you can basically just start pulling straight back towards the bottom, and that's going to pull everything out with you. So you can see there, everything's kind of coming back and out. And then using the smaller knife, once you flip her over on her side for everything to fall out, you can use the smaller knife and just kind of cut everything loose. There'll be some tendons and some small diaphragms here and there that'll hold on to it. And sometimes you can just rip them out and they'll come out really easy. Sometimes it's just easier just to let everything kind of fall out and use that little knife and just kind of cut it loose. It's super simple doing it this way. I know there's 1,000 ways to do this. I've seen thousands of ways to do it. This is the easiest way I've found to do it. And there you go. So after you get everything cut loose, it just kind of all falls out. And you can rip out whatever's left and just let it kind of roll right out the side of the belly. Super easy. That's all there is to it. 3 or 4 minutes and you're done.